What's up, everyone? It's your boy ATFCOBRA, and today wanted to give you guys a weapon review for the M416 and the M16A3, along with the L85A2. All these assault rifles. I did the FAMAS my last video, so basically I'm covering all the assault rifles that were affected in the patch. And first we're taking a look at the M416, and basically they did tweak it a little bit, so it's halfway in between the recoil that it was before it was even patched. So it's about the same as if it was before the patch, and it pretty much feels the same. It feels like the M416 is now the dominant assault rifle. It's well over the M16A3 now as far as range. I find it a lot more accurate in long range shots than the M16A3, which is kind of ridiculous. Basically all they did for the M416 was the first shot horizontal recoil was slightly increased, and basically they wanted to make it balance between this and the M16, and all they did was basically make it not that much of a difference. It wasn't that much of a difference. They didn't make it harder to use. They just tried to make it a little bit more balanced, or back to where it was with the slight initial recoil that it did have. But it still feels like the M416 is something that you want to go over the M16A3. I'm not too sure why, but the M16A3 is still very reliable, so I still use that gun even to this day. But to say the least, the M416A3 medium to long range, it feels like it fares better than against the M16A3. Sometimes I'll find myself winning a lot more gunfights against guys with the M16A3. Not too sure why that is, but the stats, they tell it all. The M16A3 stat wise is better than the M416A3, but when you go out there and use it on the battlefield, it's definitely a big difference. I mean, some of the stats I do feel like they're lying, or they don't exist at all, because when you look at as far as the stats for each weapon, the fire rate, the accuracy, if you look at all these stats now, the M16A3 has to be way better than M416. But when you go into actual battle, when you play this game, it's gonna be completely different. You're gonna get a different story. But other than that, the M416A3 is just the same. It just got slightly higher recoil, which it makes it feel like it was before. It felt like the M416 before the patch. And it still feels great. Even with the Cobra sight, the best attachments, everyone should just about know it, because you've been using this gun for a while, and everybody's been using this gun for a while. But post patch M416 is definitely the same, and not much has changed except for the initial recoil has been changed just a little bit. I mean, it'll make some of your gunfights a little bit harder because you have to adjust, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. Now, as far as the M16A3, they did actually slightly reduce its recoil, which really then again, when they say slightly, they may, I don't know if it's just in their minds that they're thinking they're fixing these guns, but it doesn't feel like, you won't notice it. You won't notice any of these changes in the game. It feels pretty much exactly the same. Slightly you might notice it if you are that type of player that plays on a little bit higher sensitivity. You might have to readjust. But other than that, like, I play on a mid to high sensitivity on PC, so I barely even noticed any of these changes. But M16A3 is still great, still the best overall weapon because its reliability in the battlefield. I wouldn't take I wouldn't take any other assault rifle other than M416A3 over the M16A3. And the AUG apparently was supposed to get patched, or they're supposed to do something with the AUG, but I don't see any changes in the AUG either. But other than that, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the gameplay that I've been watching for PS3 for Aftermath. And so far, a lot of commentators, a lot of people are giving it a really great review, and they really like the new DLC and how it feels, and the earthquake tremors aren't too big in the battlefield. They don't distract you from gameplay. They don't cause anything to go wrong where you'll lose a gunfight or anything like that. So that's really great news to hear. And as far as the PS3 videos, I'm not saying it to down any videos or to down any actual console, but it just doesn't look right sometimes. I want to go out there and see some really great in HD content. Sometimes PS3, it doesn't look like it suits me. I mean, personally, I like to watch something in HD. And L85, I did forget to mention actually, again, not much has changed. Slightly reduced recoil, which makes it great. It will help you in your long-range gunfights. I found that I was winning a lot more long-range gunfights with the L85A2, and I was just about to forget to cover this weapon. But you know, actually the L85 was the most improved because it did have a very high initial first shot recoil, which they did patch, and it feels great now to use. It feels a little bit easier. Like I said, in your long range, mid range shots are going to be a lot easier to handle. Like here, as you guys see, you know, it slightly drifts, you know, as you progress and keep shooting, but it's still a viable weapon now as well. So I'm gonna start using the L85A2 a little bit more, just because I want to be a little bit more diversified. I don't want to keep using the same weapons. You know, I do want to, you know, go out there and reach just about every weapon in this game. There's a lot to choose from, you know, with their positives and negatives. But definitely the L85 was probably the biggest changes, other than the M416 and the M16A3. It really doesn't feel anything. I mean, minimal changes were made to these assault rifles, and I think they did it just to, you know, kind of tweak things, not too much, so we wouldn't complain, because they do realize when we do you know, complain about these patches that they release. But I hope that DICE actually learns from this lesson to just keep everything the same. The way it is right now, you know, is perfectly balanced, and I think they should focus a little bit more on fixing the bugs and glitches. That's what they should worry about. Weapon balance is done. You know, they balance just about every weapon, so they need to just worry about the rest of the game. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, guys. Peace.